What if I told you Disney assembled hundreds of their greatest artifacts, but instead of being locked away in some archive, anyone can go see them? Well, look no further than the Disney 100 exhibition. We had the opportunity to travel to Philadelphia to visit the exhibition, and it's a Disney fan's dream. It has everything from original concept art for Disneyland to movie props from your favorite films, and it all starts just like Disney started, with Walt Disney himself.
There's a lot of satisfaction in developing ideas into realities. When we consider a new project, we really study it. Not just the surface idea, but everything about it. And when we go into that new project, we believe in it all the way. We have confidence in our ability to do it right, and we work hard to do the best possible job.
Now, this hologram was probably the most talked about thing online since Disney released footage of it the day before the exhibit opened. There was a lot of debate back and forth on the overall quality, but after seeing it, I can say it was just okay. Now, don't get me wrong, having Walt personally welcome you to the Disney 100 exhibit is super cool, but it looked more like a movie projection than a hologram that people were making it out to be. And also, the whole thing was a super small part of the whole experience. It's as soon as you walk in and it constantly loops through, so you could easily come in halfway through the speech or just walk past it if there was a large group of people. Now, if you're not familiar with the Disney 100 exhibition, it's an exhibit created by Disney to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the company. It's currently running at the Franklin Institute in Philadelphia through August, but it will be moving around to a few other cities in North America and Europe as well. And be sure to watch until the end, because some of the items they have on display are pretty incredible and you won't want to miss them. Now, once you get past the greeting from Walt, you enter the first of 10 different galleries, where it all began. This is one of the smaller galleries and is focused on the very beginnings of Disney, from the failure of Laugh-O-Gram Studios to the creation of Oswald and Mickey Mouse. What I like most about this gallery is that they were playing some of the original cartoons like Steamboat Willie. And since this isn't something that you normally get to see, it really set the tone for the level of Disney history that you were about to experience. Now, the other galleries were Where Do Stories Come From?, The Illusion of Life, The Spirit of Adventure and Discovery, The Magic of Sound and Music, The World Around Us, Innoventions, Your Disney World, The Wonder of Disney, and We Are Just Getting Started. And speaking of just getting started, we're trying to build a community of Disney lovers here on YouTube, so be sure to hit that subscribe button to join us. Now, each gallery had its own distinct theme, but they somehow blended seamlessly together. Some of the highlights in the early galleries were this model of the Jungle Cruise used by Walt on the TV show A Trip Through Adventureland, the maquette used for the genie in the animated film Aladdin, and the Nautilus used to film 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. They also had a small section dedicated to Star Wars and the MCU. Seeing a Porg up close was extremely incredible. The detail that went into creating it actually made it look like it was a real animal. For a second, I had to remind myself that Porgs are in fact not real. I also really love seeing all these helmets through the films of the MCU, and they had a Black Panther costume on display, which was pretty awesome. The Black Panther costume is actually part of a common thread of costumes throughout the exhibition. In addition to that costume, they had outfits from Cruella, The Little Mermaid, Jungle Cruise, and Pirates of the Caribbean, just to name a few. Seeing the craftsmanship and intricate details up close was really impressive. Moving into the magic of sound and music, this was really one of the standout galleries because of all the interactive features that it had. There were headphones on the displays where you could hear your favorite Disney songs, and one of them actually had Disney songs sung in different languages throughout the world. They also had an area where you could learn about how they produce all of the sounds for the movies as well. Seeing the common everyday items they use and then hearing how those became the sound effects for the movies you hear on screen was fascinating. Just check out how they used this glass vase to create a bear sound. Now, speaking of interactive features, there was a lot more ways to interact with the exhibit than just through sound. A few of the galleries had interactive tables where you could learn about your favorite characters or theme parks. But what I found really impressive was this storybook that they hooked up to a screen in front of you that as you turned the pages turned on the screen in front of you. It was a really cool effect and one that I think would actually do well as some sort of permanent installment in one of the theme parks. They also had an animatronic hand which you could control, which brings me to one of my other favorite galleries, Innoventions. Now, if you ever listened to our podcast, you've most likely heard of us talk about all the technological advancements Walt helped create in terms of animation and the theme parks. One sign had a really great quote from Imagineer Marty Sklar that I think does a great job of summing up why Walt was such a visionary. Quote, "Walt had one foot in the past because he loved nostalgia. and 1 foot in the future because he loved the technologies that enabled him to constantly create new magic. And this is where things really started getting good. Seeing the early versions of animatronics up close was awesome. Just look at all the mechanics and gears that went into an early version of an animatronic head. The teeth looked so real, it was uncanny. And then being able to see just how far they've come in terms of programming was amazing. The old programming boards had a ton of dials and buttons, and they actually had a silhouette of a body on it so that you knew which part of the animatronic you're controlling. Now the new boards are super sleek with just a few buttons and USB ports to do all the programming. They also had this replica of the original Pixar RenderMan computer. It was somehow both bigger and smaller than I was expecting, but it was pretty incredible just to stand there and think about all the movies and franchises that single machine helped create. But the technology wasn't just limited to more modern computer animation. They also had space dedicated to Walt's innovations in hand-drawn animation as well. One of the more interesting pieces was this 8-scale model of the multiplane camera. If you're a fan of Disney, you've probably heard about the multiplane camera, but if you're like me, you maybe didn't know how it worked. Seeing the scale along with accompanying archival footage showing how it worked was amazing. I was actually blown away by how large the machine was and how big of a difference it really did make in terms of animation. Now, as a fan of the theme parks, there was a lot of awesome memorabilia in history. Having original ride vehicles from Disneyland is not something you expect to see when you go to a museum. We also got a really good look at one of the devils from Mr. Toad's Wild Ride and a doll from It's a Small World. It was really amazing to see them up close because you get a real appreciation for the quality and level of detail the Imagineers go into when designing and creating their outfits. Even though a lot of these animatronics are something you go past in seconds on an attraction, they still have such a high level of quality. And then, like any good Disney attraction, you exited through the gift shop. Now, most of the merchandise really wasn't specific to the Disney 100 exhibition. It was kind of more just Disney merchandise in general. They had a few things around the Disney 100, but you could get that in the parks as well. Now, that's just a small part of what the Disney 100 exhibition has to offer. Let us know in the comments which piece of Disney history you'd most like to see. Until next time.